Okay. So you've got the dates, the 9th of September, you've got the heading revision, and you've got I am David and number the stars. Then you've gone ahead and you've stuck this in. This is your breakdown for your test. Okay? I will be discussing everything to do with the test at the end of the revision lesson. Okay? I'll explain everything from how many marks to how long to where to literally everything. Okay? So if you have a look at your breakdown, it says Term 1 novel, 7A, I am David. Plot, important events, important characters. And it says Term 2 novel, 7A, Number the Stars. Chapter 1, setting and background, character sketches, and themes. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. We are going to start with I am David. So once you've got your breakdown stuck in, you can either leave a line and continue at the bottom, or you can go to the next page and turn your page landscape because we will be doing a tree map. Okay. Right, our tree map has 3 branches only. So we're going to be looking at I am David first. So you'll write the title of the novel. And please use a ruler even though I'm not. And you have 1, 2, 3 branches. Okay, now I'd like to remind you that even though we are going to put keywords down here, you need to understand what those keywords mean. You need to understand why they are keywords. These words that we are putting down and these things that we are about to discuss, they form part of the test. They form part of our revisions, okay? So if I say your character is David, you need to know who David is, a little bit about his character, and so on and so forth. You can't just know David and not know anything else. So that being said, the first thing we are actually going to be looking at is the characters. And tell me who they are. Who's in this novel? Zandi. David. Anyone else?
The man. The
We
dog.
always put the man in inverted commas. Okay, but that comes up later. I will accept King the dog, but I will put him further down the list. Kiara. Maria. She is important. Why is Maria important? Before I continue. David saves her from the fire, which subsequently leads to him smiling for the first time in the novel. Remember at the beginning of the novel, he says he cannot smile. He encounters Donald and Alice. He helps him find the glasses, and they ask him to smile, and he says he doesn't know how. Chapter 4 comes along, he meets Maria, he saves her from the fire. He says she's pretty like a flower. Okay? Smile. So that's important to remember. When you see Maria, you need to think. Saved, smile. Those 2 things. And they link back to David. Okay, who else do we meet? Okay, whoever them are linked to the man, so we won't put it down, but they are linked to. Okay, Carla linked to Maria. So that entire family, right? 2 little boys, Carlo, Andrea, Maria, the mother Elsa, the father Giovanni. They're all linked to Maria, so we're not going to put it down and go on and on and on. In the camp, David has a friend. He's a teacher. He actually died. They said it was from a heart attack, but David thought a little bit suspicious. Yeah, Johannes, however you want to pronounce it. long as you can spell it. Okay? While David is traveling along, he meets a woman. She wants to paint him. Do you remember her name, Sandy? Sophie. Sophie. And this leads him to discover his mother, Edith. Edith Forrest-Fendel. And then I don't have space to go below, but you can go below and add in our last one, King. And we know that King is linked to the farmer. Okay. So there were quite a few characters here, but these are our important ones we need to keep looking at. Tell me about David. What do you remember about him? Anything at all? Sandy? He's very paranoid, pessimistic. He's an overthinker. He cannot see on anything on the bright side. Anything else about David? He was not well educated, but he was intelligent in terms of street smarts. He's got survival skills. That's correct, good survival skills. Now we know the man helped David to escape. Okay? We know he was a guard at the camp. Very important to remember what his position was. And later on we find that the man was in love with Edith. Okay, and then there was a kind of a link, and David started to put the story together as to why the man had cared for him, given him milk and vitamins and such. Okay, we've spoken about Maria. This is Johannes's, David's friend, a teacher, fellow prisoner who died of a heart attack. Okay, Sophie, Edith, King, we know about all of those. So the next thing we're going to go on to, we're just going to call it David, David's travels. We're going to look at some of the important things that took place here. Okay? So throughout this novel, David becomes obsessed with something. Can you remember what that obsession was? No. No, we're not looking at that.
Reading.
No. Beauty. David is obsessed with beauty and color, and that is why our author keeps giving us all this detail, because David is obsessed with it. It's part of his character. So we're going to just put down beauty. Now, does anyone remember why he was kind of obsessed with beauty/color? Anyone remember why, Kiara?
Because basically only had gray and dark dull color.
Correct. So, where David had come from, originated from, which was the camp, there was only ever dull, grey, boring, nothing exciting, nothing beautiful, except for one flower, which was red. Otherwise, it was not a very beautiful place. Okay, so he becomes obsessed with beauty and color, and it's important to remember why. As he travels, he believes that he needs a story. Can you remember what the story was? He was telling people he was from somewhere or going somewhere, something like that, Nasia?
He was telling people he was from his office.
Okay. Traveling. Circus. Okay, as part of a traveling circus, he felt that if he had to fit in or if anyone had to ask him questions, he needed to say he was part of a traveling circus. How did he come up with this? Zani. He saw a poster, an advertisement, advertising the traveling circus. Okay? No. This is why we do revision. Right? And this is why I focused on certain elements of the novel, because this novel is so long, drawn out, and full of detail. Okay. Now, before David rescues Maria, Maria, he bumps into Carlo. What interaction does he have with Carlo in that very beginning, Nosipho?
Carlo
Yes.
gets David.
Right. Now, it's very important to note that his name is Carlo and not Carlos. They are completely different names. If you spell it wrong, it's wrong. This is an English test. Okay? So Carlo attacks David. Right? And David does not retaliate. Do you remember that?
Yes.
What does that tell us about David's character? Lorela. He doesn't like violence, okay? Right, and then we know during the novel, like I said, we're linking Maria to the smile. Thereafter, David smiles for the first time when he saves Maria from the fire. And we can put down learns to smile. Okay, this is just a basic few points on what happens to David during his travels. He becomes obsessed. He learns to appreciate beauty and color. He decides he's part of a traveling circus, and this is the story he will tell. He gets attacked by Carlo, but he does not retaliate because he doesn't like violence. Right? He rescues Maria, and so he learns how to smile, and he continues on his journey. Right? Does he meet his mother?
Yeah.
Last one, meets his mother. Remember, at some point he thought he had no family. Right, last one for David. We are looking at the particular instance where he is taken captive by the evil-hearted farmer. That's what he called him in the novel. So, we're going to call it his farm now. I'll be it brief. He lived on the farm. Okay? So, how did David get to be on the farm? Can anyone remember? Captured is a strong word because it means that there was a chase, which there wasn't really. Zandi?
While he was walking, he decided it was cold, so he decided to strike his head on the rock and knock himself. But then the farmer found him and
Okay, so the farmer found him. He thought the only way out was death, and it came out that he actually had tried to hit himself on the barn door that belonged to the farmer. Okay? Thought it was a rock, but it wasn't. The farmer found him, took him in, made him work all day, and he slept in the barn at night. While he was there, who does he make friends with? Okay, so this is where we look at, we're going to use the word captured. Where he meets King. And eventually he decides to escape. Now I'm putting down escape, but you need to know how he escaped. Let's see how.
he dug a hole down to the ground. He dug a hole and went under the feet on the outside.
Right, that's correct. First he kind of broke the section or corner of the barn down, and then he tunneled down through the snow. And who followed him? That's correct. Okay, so that brings us to the very end of this particular map. Okay? either you can continue below or you can turn to the next page. Once again, our tree map that we are creating for Number the Stars has 3 branches. Okay, so the first thing we do, we put down the title. And it's 3 branches again. Once again, I'll ask you to use a ruler. And the first thing we're going to be looking at is our characters once again. First thing I'm looking at is characters. So, can we remember who was in the novel? Okay. Don't shout at me, Nolene. Anne-Marie. Okay, so. Okay, the Johansons. Her parents, remember? She's got a mom and a dad. Messina? Kirsty and Lisa, although there won't be anything about Lisa because we only learn about her later in the novel. Nuha, Nazis, Kiara, Ellen, Sandy. Okay, she's got a family too though. The Rosens and then Peter. Lots of characters. Now it's important to go back and have a look at the character sketches that we made, but also to know more or less about the characters who appear in chapter 1. Anne-Marie, Ellen, Kirsty, and the soldiers. Those 4 are your most important. Of course, we have to know a little bit about everyone to help the story along. Okay, if you want to put a little star to remember to go over those ones. When we look at character sketches, tell me about Anne-Marie. Zandi. She's brave. Okay, how old was she? Nuha? 10 years old. Hair color, eye color. Nasia? Blonde hair, blue eye. Right. Anne-Marie, blonde hair, blue eye, tall, lanky, 10 years old. She's brave. She's athletic. She is caring for her friend. Right? Let's go down to her little sister Kirsty. What can you remember about her, if anything at all? Lorela? Oh, so talkative. Right? Kirsty is 5 years old. Kirsty is 5 years old. She, like Anne-Marie, has blonde hair and blue eyes. Anything to add or prove here? She loves fairy tales. Absolutely loves them. Remember the king and the queen and all of that nonsense. Right? She is talkative. She's stubborn. Little Kirsty. Right, what could we say about our Nazi soldiers? Kiara. Rude, arrogant, full of themselves. They've come in, they've taken over. And Anne-Marie mentions that they have been in their country for 3 years and they still do not know how to speak their language. Right? Nothing at all. They only speak their own language. Okay? Ellen. Want to try? Sadie? She's got dark hair and dark eyes. She, like Anne-Marie, is 10 years old. Tell me about her height. Something like that, Kiara. She's short and stocky, okay. Personality, Zandi? She's shy, she's reserved. She doesn't really interact with the soldiers in the first chapter. Rita? She's really intelligent. Anne-Marie says that she's a better student than herself. Nuha? She's scared. She's scared, she's afraid, she's anxious, okay? Zandi. She's dramatic. Okay. Right. Moving on from characters, we're looking at setting. Where the novel takes place, which is pretty much straightforward. What war does this happen during? World War II. If you want to go so far as to include the years, you may not need them for this test, but you might need them for the next kind of thing. You know, it's always good to know. And who came through and invaded Denmark? It was the German Nazi soldiers. I know. Right? They invaded Denmark. Right? So they were from Germany. They're called the Nazi soldiers. Now, where does this novel take place? Which country? Think it through. Jan-Elisa. Denmark. In which city? Copenhagen. Copenhagen. Right, and that is our setting. The last thing we're going to go on to look at is themes. Themes. We're going to look at 3. Now, it's important to remember that when we look at themes, we might write the word here for revision, but you need to remember why. Because I won't just ask you for a theme, I will ask you to tell me why. To illustrate how it comes about in the novel. Okay? So think it through because I'm going to ask you why now, even though I'm not going to write it down. First theme. What do we have? Nasia. Go ahead, tell us why. Right, that's correct. Friendship is illustrated in the novel through Anne-Marie and Ellen's relationship where they will protect one another. Right? Kiara.
War is illustrated by the Nazi soldiers
Being there.
yeah.
Okay. War is illustrated through the constant presence of the Nazi soldiers, how they interrogate people. Now, even though we're not looking at the rest of the novel, you've completed it, so I'm going to say, they actually interact with Anne-Marie or the family at least 5 times during the novel. 5 times during the novel, they are interrogated. Okay, on the way home from school, in their apartment, on the train ride, at the funeral, and when Anne-Marie is delivering the special package. 5 times she encounters soldiers. They are real villains, real antagonists, okay? But, so they are constantly there, they're always watching. War. Zandi, last one.
Bravery is illustrated in how Anne-Marie speaks to the Nazi soldiers.
Correct. Bravery is illustrated in Anne-Marie's interaction with the soldiers. She protects her friend, she speaks for her, okay? It is illustrated time and time again how the Johansons will put their lives on the line to assist the Rosens. Now, is there any other theme you would like to discuss, even though you're not writing it down? Nasia. Growing up. Why?
Because throughout the novel, Anne-Marie gets out on the floor and understanding that you get that novel and that it
Growing up, because throughout the novel, Anne-Marie is forced to, she's pushed to become mature, to make mature decisions, right? Okuje. Okay? Dead, okay? But that would be 2 marks. If I ask for 3 or 4, you'd need to pick a meteor one.
During that time of war, Mary died because of the Nazi soldiers, and also Anne-Marie's sister, Lisa,
There we go. here. So we've got quite a few. We're looking at those three. Remember, it's very important to look at one. Right, leave a line, rule off. And while you do that, I'm going to explain the test. Right, what will happen is, it is divided into, it is the total of 30 marks. It is divided into 20, I am David, 10, number the stars. Okay? You are looking at multiple choice, true and false, as well as written answers. Okay? It is a 1 hour test. Okay? You would need to pace yourself. It's not a long test. Any questions? Zara?
So when we are done with the talk, should we go back to the pages that you gave us, that the summary basically gave us? And when we go through the important characters, should we go through character sketches?
Okay, so if you're looking at I am David, we are looking at going through your chapter notes. Right, you've got them. You're going to need to go through them because it has been a really long time. So it suggests over the next week you familiarize yourself with I am David, so that when we continue with revision for I am David, it is much easier. Right, so chapter notes. It is not necessary to look at a full character sketch because you just need to know one or two things about each of those characters from I am David that we looked at in our tree map. And then when it comes to number the stars, this tree map basically tells you everything you need to know. You kind of just have to say, look at her character, look at the theme, why, or what is her character like, okay? It is not in-depth because I stopped asking questions at the end of chapter 1, which was actually quite a short chapter. Okay.